Over the next month, it might feel like there is some growth restrictions or growth limitations or a little bit of boundary when it comes to like growing certain areas of your life. And that is because Jupiter in Gemini is forming a square with Saturn in Pisces. Now, Saturn is just about to move into Aries. He might be there by the time you see this video. And Gemini is soon to move into the sign of Cancer, which again, it might be there by the time you see this video. But that's Jupiter will move in the 9th of June and Saturn will move into Aries on the 24th of May. Now, they're already in what is known as a square, which is like creating a little bit of tension between the two. Yeah. And I'll go into what that means, but they're already forming this at the moment and they're in that kind of square at the moment. And it is going to kind of last probably throughout most of June. Yeah. But then Jupiter will move on from the square and continue on his journey through Cancer, whereas Saturn will get ready to go retrograde and move back into the sign of Pisces around September. But this is really only going to be the first few weeks of Jupiter in Cancer, like in June, I would say. Jupiter in Cancer is all about growth, nurturing, building emotional security, home, family, all the cozy stuff, all the nice things. He actually really likes being in Cancer. That's one of his favorite places to be. That's known as exaltation, which basically means that he does his best work in Cancer. So it is going to be a good time for us, but this square kicking it off, that is one thing to pay attention to. Yeah, and I'm giving this a video on its own because I will do a separate video on Jupiter in Cancer, go through all the rising signs. So make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss that one. But for this video, I thought this deserved a little bit more of a video of its own. Yeah, so like I said, Jupiter's all about growth, nurturing, building emotional security, family, home when it's in the sign of Cancer. Saturn is all about boundaries, restrictions, limitations, a bit of a taskmaster. He wants you to make sure that you're building structures that are long lasting, building things that are long lasting. These aren't, if you're thinking just because it's an Aries, it doesn't mean that you get away with doing things quicker. He still wants to make sure you've got them long lasting things throughout his journey there. Yeah. You might feel restrictions if you try and do instant gratification while Saturn's in Aries. So the problem with this is it's creating that tension, like I says, and it's kind of like we want comfort. We want to expand the comfort. Jupiter expands where it touches. We want to expand this, but there's challenges. There's something just to challenge me. And right now, well, Jupiter's still in Gemini, that might be around communication, getting your voice heard, actually being seen, visibility, maybe even with it being in Gemini. But I think it'll be more like making sure you're understood and around that sort of stuff. There could be challenges around that throughout this time. Now, Jupiter's kind of like a warm hug. Saturn's like, get off the couch. Let's move. Because he's in Aries, which is all about action. It's ruled by Mars. So Mars and Saturn are working together on this one. Mars wants you to do, Saturn wants you to do, but he wants you to do it with boundaries, structures, and all that stuff. Another thing that might crop up around this time is you might want to play it safe, but Saturn and Aries will need you to take risks if you're wanting to actually reach what your potential is. Remember, Neptune is there as well, so there could be these bigger goals that you're wanting to go after during this time. And that's where you might be like, well, do you know what? I'll maybe retreat into my home. I'll maybe expand the comfort rather than going and taking that risk. You might see that around this. And I guess that could go for the same thing as you might want to protect yourself and keep yourself away from things rather than taking the bold action that's needed to get you moving in life. This is June in the square. Like things, once Jupiter gets moving away from Saturn, this sort of stuff is going to be more prominent. It's going to feel a lot nicer, a lot warmer. But just now there will be boundaries while dreaming big. Yeah, that's what you need to remember here. Now, with this transit, the reason I've given it a video of its own, because you need to see the bigger picture here. Cancer has had a lot of attention over the last 6 months. But also that this, on August 2024, that was when the first Saturn square Jupiter was. Yeah? This was before, I think, if I remember correctly, was it before Jupiter went retrograde or was it after? I can't remember. But August 2024 was the first square with Saturn. Now, this again would have been around communication, around visibility, all that sort of stuff, depending on where that was in your chart. You might have, it would have been wanting to expand your learning, wanting to expand the things you know, expanding that area of your life, the Gemini area of your life. But Saturn would have been there like, well, we can do that, but he's in Pisces. We can do that. But why are you not going for this? Like, this is what you should really be doing. You shouldn't be doing all these different things. You should be more focused. You should focus on one thing and let it grow. Let it be long lasting. So that was the first Saturn square. And Jupiter was in Gemini. The majority of this, I will tell you, when he was into Cancer. Not the month after that, Mars went into Cancer. That was in September 2024. So this was Mars at his detriment now, yeah? Who rules Aries, by the way? Mars. So keep that in your mind here as well. So you've got Mars in Cancer now, who is in detriment, doesn't do well there because Mars is action orientated, wants to be go, go, go. Cancer is like emotional, secure, maybe even retreat, keep yourself in, maybe sidestep aggression rather than going for it. So that was creating a little bit of tension around this time. So look back to August 2024 and see what was going on. Where did you feel like there was little bits of restriction? Where did you think there was limitations? Where did you need to put down boundaries that you've maybe not done yet? These sort of things. Look back to then and see what was happening. Right? Now, this is where Mars went into Cancer. Now, what else does Mars like to do? He likes to cut things away. Things that he doesn't want to act on and doesn't need to act on, he cuts them away. So you might have found that things over that time, actions that you used to do, habits that you maybe had, have fallen away since August. Then in December 2024, Mars went into Leo, was only there for a short time, and then went retrograde. Yeah? He was in Leo for the first part of that retrograde and then went back into Cancer. Yeah? So Cancer again gets a mention. December 2024, Jupiter in Gemini squares Saturn in Pisces. So that's the second square. So you can see there's a pattern here. There's been something going on that's needing a little bit of attention. And I don't know if you're there yet. You might not have that clarity yet. But there's been something that's been creating tension since August, around the Cancer area of your chart. Now, that is what's happening again as we come into June. So in May, Mars went fully direct, no longer in the shadow period, everything's good in Leo. And June 2025, which is next month, but you'll probably be feeling this already, there's that square forming with Jupiter and Saturn. I think it perfects on the 15th of June. And here we have the same situation as we've had. The only difference is Jupiter will be in Cancer. Yeah, or is moving through into Cancer because he's still in Gemini just now. I think you will feel this just now, but you might not know properly until around the 15th of June by the time it's in Cancer. Now, this is kind of like you've done all that clearing out with Mars being retrograde there, with Mars being in Cancer, doing all that cutting away, taking action, not taking action, emotional action, all that sort of stuff. You've had all that. The Cancer area of your life has been trimmed, been dealt with, but now Jupiter's gone back in there. So anything that felt limited in these areas or felt like you had to cut away in these areas, Jupiter's now gone back and like, let's bring things in. Let's bring life back here. Let's bring abundance. Let's make the home nice and cozy again. Now, another date that I want you to take notice in your diary as well is November 2025. By which time Saturn will have went retrograde and went back into the sign of Pisces. Jupiter will still be in Cancer. But what happens here is Jupiter is going to form a trine with Saturn. Now, this is a lovely aspect. This is harmonious. This is auspicious. It's beautiful energy. They're just working together. Like, we've got the boundaries, we've got the growth, everything's moving. That's a lovely energy. Now, that's in November. Pisces is also home to the North Node just now. Jupiter rules the North Node just now while it's in Pisces. So this is something that is a destined thing in your life. That is something that you're working on, that for you to get to the next stage in your life, you have to go through this. And it does, the North Node is your karmic path, your purpose, all these sort of things, and where you are headed in life. And right now it's sitting in Pisces, ruled by Jupiter in Cancer, creating this lovely trine to Saturn, who's also in Pisces. So again, now I think whatever has been going on throughout all this time with all these Saturn and Jupiter squares, this is where it all starts to, you start to see the benefits of them. Yeah, they've been working through things. There's maybe been a bit of no, yes, no, yes. By now, they're like, okay, I love this. Everything's coming together. And it's in line with where we're meant to go, being so close to the North Node in Pisces. So there's a lot to take in there. But I do think that when Mars was doing his retrograde thing, that was clearing. That was clearing that Cancer house out so that Jupiter can come in and build it back up again. Expand everything there. But expand it more aligned, hopefully, in a better position. It might still feel tough. There might be still some stuff you need to let go of. The reason I say that is because Saturn is currently in that square with Jupiter. So there might be still some limitations at the moment. But you can work through them. Yeah? Look at the themes. Where have you seen the theme between August, September, December, probably January as well, because that's when Mars retrograded back into Cancer. So January and June. What has been the themes around these days? And if you want to take out the Mars and Cancer, you can take that out. It would just be October, December, and June. You might not know June yet because we're not there. Now, just because Saturn's there creating problems in Jupiter, does that mean your life has to stop? Absolutely not. This is where you need to learn to work with the energies. So right now, when Jupiter is doing this, it's like trying to find that balance. Like we said, it was like playing it small versus taking risks. So maybe it's like, okay, we don't want to play small. We want to take a little bit, but it needs to be more gradual. We need to build up the risk. And with Saturn, it is kind of like that. In Aries, it's like slow and steady action rather than let's go hell for leather and let's do it quickly. It's like still take action, but slow and steady. Still take risks, but do it incrementally and gradually and build up to things. Yeah? With that, there, you can still work with these energies. What was the other thing that I said? Comfort versus challenge. Have your comfort. Have your challenges. Have them balanced. Don't just say, right, well, that's too scary. I'm not going to do that. Or that's uncomfortable. I'm not going to do that. You just need to do the uncomfortable things, but balance it with some extra comfort. I don't know, have some Ben and Jerry's, and do what needs to be done. You can work with this to bring that comfort and still get the challenges done. It might feel a little bit harder. It might feel a little bit more difficult. It might feel restrictive. But when you work with the energies and not against them, it's a lot smoother. Plus, like I said, the North Node is involved here. It's ruled by Jupiter because Jupiter is the ancient ruler of Pisces. So the North Node is in Pisces. So with it being there, this is something that's a destined thing in your life. This is a destined thing for us all. Yeah? There's something that we're going through just now that we had to go through. Like I said, I do have a video coming out on Jupiter and Cancer. Again, it might be out by the time you see this one. No, it won't be because I'm going to put that one out next. It'll be out after this one. But I have got that video coming out where we will give the forecast through all 12 signs of what Jupiter and Cancer could look like for you. But I wanted to give this a video on its own because I think this is something that's destined in our life and it's something that we should be working for. We should be learning to work with this energy so that we can get that bigger benefit. And this is sometimes we are so narrow-minded that we don't see the bigger picture here. Yeah? We don't see, if you just look at that Saturn square, for example, with Jupiter, and you don't look at the fact, well, Jupiter was actually squaring Saturn back in August, it was also squaring it back in December, and it's then going to make a trine. That shows you that if you look at the bigger picture, you can see, oh, there's actually a path here. Yeah? There was something going on here. There was something going on here. There was something going on here. And then at the end, there's actually a positive outcome. Yeah? Because by which time Jupiter will be then separating away from Saturn for a while. So that's not going to be around anymore. But if you just look at the single transits, they tell you a little bit. They tell you how the immediate feelings might feel. But actually, when you look at the bigger picture, you're able to then say, okay, this is a good time for this. This is a good time for that. And maybe it is like, when I say balance, comfort, and challenge, maybe you do want to balance them, but maybe it is about, like, okay, let's make it more comfortable. If we can't make it more comfortable, it's maybe about slowing it down so that it feels more comfortable. That'll work well with Saturn because you're building something that's built to last. And that's all you need to remember with Saturn is whatever you want to take action on, make sure it's built to last. Make sure it's got that solid foundation. There's other things, but that is the crux of it, yeah? I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you want to take a deeper dive into your chart, see how this has been played. Maybe you just need help piecing it together, but you want to get some options, or you want to learn how to work with energy and not be fighting against it and feeling like things are actually so difficult. If that's the case, I'll leave all the information how you can work with me down below with my inner circle and with my intensives. But for this video, that's it. Have a lovely week, and I'll see you in the next video.